Thank you for joining the podcast for Beyond the Banter. Before we get started, you need to know some important information. If you need support immediately, please reach out to one of the following organisations. Lifeline on 131114, Beyond Blue on 1300224636, or Men's Line Australia on 1300789978. If your life is in danger, please call 000 immediately.
Beyond the banter, beyond the banter, we'll find the answer.
Guys, welcome back to Season 2, Beyond the Banter. Can you believe we're at Season 2, Topher?
I can't. Last year seems like a blur already.
No, it's crazy. It's just crazy to think that we'll get into it as we go on. But from my point of view, I thought that it absolutely flew. But I thought there was more. I guess there's more podcasts I thought we could have done at the back end of the year. It sort of dropped off a little bit with a few things going on with the both of us. So I felt that it absolutely flew. I think it exceeded our expectations for season 1. I think. You know, you look at the community that is formed. You look at the donations and people gifting on multiple platforms. You look at the numbers, the countries. You know, from our point of view, we never thought that we'd get this reach that we thought we'd get. We just had this idea and we put it together, and you know, people have taken it on board and they've actually run with it, and they. You know, the feedback we've had is, very positive. You know, the stuff that we get from people telling us recommendations about the podcast, what we should include, what we shouldn't include. So, you know, people are getting right behind it. It's very exciting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very humbling for the both of us because people trust us with their information. They trust us with their story, and they trust us to get a finished product out that's going to, reflect them in the community. Like we did Palooza at the end of last year, all the way over in Scotland, and we did all that from here, and we had to produce a podcast, to represent him well over there, and we really, I feel we did a really good job with that.
Yeah.
Look, let's just get right into it. You know, it feels like
last year was a hobby, and this year's really stepped up a bit.
100%.
We haven't even started this year yet, and it already feels like it's completely different.
100%. So much has gone into it already that, you know, to not even have the podcast out and really just focus on other little areas of what we're trying to do, you're absolutely right. It doesn't even feel, you know, like it doesn't even, well, to me, it doesn't even feel like we've actually switched off from last year. I don't believe we have. There's a couple of weeks there, you know, Christmas and New Year's and all that sort of stuff, but I don't think we actually switched off.
Well, this year has been a lot more behind the scenes stuff, right? We've moved into a different space this year, and we're really taking those next steps to. I don't want to say be more professional, but I guess it's true.
Oh, man, 100%. 100%. You know, I think you said it earlier on in the first couple of podcasts. You know, every podcast that we deliver, you want it to be better than the last one. You want it to get better and better and better. And I remember you saying that when we were in Darwin, and even looking at the technology around this desk here. You guys can't see it. I've got a spare microphone. I've got 2 cameras. I've actually got now a Sony vlogging camera. I've got a little GoPro camera. I've got a beautiful lava lamp that's on my desk here. But it actually does feel, or it's starting to feel like a recording studio, like a proper.
If you asked me last year if I'd have a ring light, I would have laughed at you. There you go.
And I'm not going to lie, it's not the first one that I've had either. So, it's been a really, really interesting journey. I think, I don't know if you agree with me here, but the way we sort of envisioned how this was going to play out, and tell me what you think, and not to say anything about family members or friends or anything, but I thought the family members and friends were the ones that were going to run with this, right? And really drive, and they have, don't get me wrong, but what I guess what I'm trying to say, it's the strangers that we've met along the way, the people we don't know, the people we've formed these relationships with in the space of 12 months really doing this, is unbelievable. They're really good relationships we've formed. And if we can achieve that in 12 months, mate, I can't wait to see what the future holds. I really can't.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think the family and friends certainly gave us that initial boost and a bit of exposure, and then it seems to be moving into its own direction now, which is kind of nice to see it happening that way. I think when you spoke to me about it originally, I was like, it'll never get to that point. We're just hobbyists, mate. And here I am with egg on my face. We're heading in the direction you said.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I've got neon lights and blue lights and all sorts of stuff going on. And yeah, it's really exciting, really exciting. If we look back to last year, what were some of your key moments you felt that you stopped and went, wow, like through last year's season? Not so much just with the podcast, but what we've done away from the podcast, all that sort of stuff.
Last year was definitely more around the stories of the podcast. There's conversations we've had with people that some made it to air, some didn't, and emails that have come through that, we've had last year in particular. We had a lot of emails and we couldn't speak to everyone on a podcast, but so you read some people's stories and you think, geez, everyone definitely has their own story and it contributes to who they are today and some of the challenges they've faced and how they've overcome them. Some of it's really incredible. More recently, I think the behind the scenes stuff is the establishment of the official organisation. I think that stuff's really exciting and gives us something to look forward to for this year. We've just got a couple of steps to go, but we're close.
Yeah, we'll go into that. We'll go into that in a second. I think from my point of view, I think like I said it at the start of the podcast, but I think, and you sort of just touched on it then, when people open up and tell you their story, it's people that you may have not even met face to face. It could be they saw you on a social media platform and they go, you know what, I'm going to reach out to these guys and tell them my story.
Yeah.
Like for me, there's no better feeling than that because they're trusting you with the information. They're trusting, as I said, they're trusting us to deliver a product that they can show their family and friends and be proud of and say, hey, I spoke up and this is what we're trying to do. I try and mention as much as possible, but we consider this like a pay it forward. You're doing it for the next person that might not have these issues or struggles, or might be a family member that might be going through this stuff. So, look, for me, I had a few highlights last year. I really did. I think one of the ones that really stood out for me was the First Responders podcast we did, which was one of our early podcasts, to be honest. And I don't think we knew what to expect out of that podcast. And I think we've got a little bit of following up to do with the walk that was done from, was it Alice Springs to Parliament House?
Yeah, Alice Springs to Canberra, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the name of that walk was. If it comes to you, let us know. Was it Hearts to Walk or Walks to Heart of?
Yeah, heart to heart.
Yeah, well, look, we've got a bit of following up to do. I'd love to try and catch up and see how that actually went now that that's all done and dusted. I know that they're currently talking about that. I think there's been a commission into veterans, mental health and what they're currently doing now. So there's a little bit of research we need to do that and deliver for them.
Can I just add to that too, though? That First Responders one, we did that 12 months ago. I think it was about 12 months ago. And yet there's still in the media this year emergency services suicides happening. And one happened recently in Victoria where it was actually in the police station while on duty. So it's still happening. And it's sad that we did that a year ago and we're still talking about it.
Yeah. And no one had a clue, no one had any idea. Yeah, it's what it actually, and again, I had this feeling today. I don't know if you get this, but whenever I see a first responder now in the streets, or whatever, I feel like I want to go up to them and tell them about the podcast and say, hey, listen, this is what we're doing for mental health and see if it resonates with them. But look, I think that first early podcast was really good for the both of us. I think that, it really set the scene. But also for me, one of the key moments for me last year was about the sleep, and we started talking about sleep because sleep for me, I've always struggled with. Either I'm being really good or it's been really bad. There's no middle, right? And some of the information that was passed on through that podcast really opened my eyes up a little bit. So not only was it humbling to do the experience last year, the podcast, but it was actually educational. I
Yeah.
took a lot away from it, which
Well,
is
that was
what
a good one because we had the 3 parts to that one. We had the nutrition, the sleep, and the exercise.
Yeah.
And, talking to 3 experts in the field, and we've got to give a shout out to Rosie because she's obviously
Yes. Yeah.
been a supporter of us and from Liberated Psychology. And, it was just great, the conversation and how it flowed. And it was a bit of laughter in there as well. And,
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah, I remember she referenced that if you don't get enough sleep, your testicles can shrink. And I remember, and I told a few guys about this, and I always keep that memory of that podcast saying, "Hey, if you don't get enough sleep, they're going to shrink." But no, look, on a serious note, I want to get Rosie in, like we both do. We've both said to each other that we feel she's a big part of this podcast, and I can't wait to see what we can get her talking about this year. Just quickly, high level, where are we at with the organisation? What have we done in the last 6 months in particular? What are the next steps? And then I guess what we plan on doing once we've got the status. Very high level, mate. Don't need to go into it too much.
Yeah, look, we've really, at the end of last year, you and I decided to take those next steps to formalising the entity and making it less of a hobby and more of an actual organisation. So we've now officially established Beyond the Banter Limited as a not-for-profit organisation. It's actually live now, and we've got our ABNs and everything ready to go. We've got to work through a few more corporate things to get all the things lined up, and I won't go into those on here, but it's just all the silly stuff that you don't think of. Like we both work ourselves, and we've got our own mobile numbers, but then just having an office phone number and an office address, just things like that. We've now got that. We've got obviously the website's up and running. We've got the ABN, we've got the ACN. So it's all happening now, and we're starting to work through that charity status, and I think that we'll have that charity status probably within the next 2 months. And that just gives us another level to go to where we want to go, and then we can start really cementing some sponsors and things we want to do, and we can really head in the direction we've talked about at the end of last year.
No, it's exciting. It's exciting. So it's a nice little segue into how can people help us? Where do we need people to help us? More importantly.
Right now, gifts in kind. So anything that we can do for merchandise or things like that, or it could even be with supporting us with hardware fees or software stuff like that. So one of our listeners has donated to us a computer which is being built at the moment, so that we can help. So it can help us edit our footage.
Do you reckon? Do you reckon we can get Red Alert like we used to do back in the old days?
Red Alert.
Play each other. Yes, Commander.
He'd probably be into that. So I mean that's good because we operate from the computers that we already had, and so to be able to have a computer that is high powered and a lot of storage, and I don't think people really appreciate how much goes into or you do a lot of the editing, so how much goes into it.
You did in the early days. Well, I think we've had our fair share of it, but you're right.
I'm definitely keen to get back into it, and because of my limitations on my computer, I haven't been able to. So.
Yeah. And obviously the female version of the podcast with Jazz will head that up in this year as well, and I'll be sort of focusing more on the editing of that, so it's going to be a nice little balance. But just going back to the computer that's getting donated, I mean, that's taking it to another level again, taking production to another level. It's really going to help us to take us to the next step where we can share that out and get some more consistent podcasts out. So, really looking forward to that.
So that's probably the key areas of how to support at the moment, because what we're really aiming to do is get that charity status, and then we can receipt donations.
Yeah.
We can receipt sponsorship. I mean, we could receipt sponsorship right now. So if anyone wants to sponsor us, there's a number of options available, and we're working through those packages.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that we can do straight away, but the donations, we really need that receivable gift receipt.
Yeah, and if anyone out there is sitting there thinking, oh, maybe I can get amongst this and help out, then just reach out to me and Topher. You can contact us on the website, and one of us will get a hold of you. Exciting stuff happening as well over that last little 6-month period is we've now established another 3 Beyond the Banter emails in the organisation. We had to put on another director, so we've included Jazz to come into that inner circle Beyond the Banter. But then also we've got Lorna looking after events, and then we've got Shawnee looking after relationships with Beyond the Banter. So now we've got these these awesome people in the team.
Relationships or partnerships?
Partnerships, sorry. Partnership, yeah.
She's not Cupid, mate. She's not Cupid.
I don't know. She's got this. Yeah, I don't know. She's got this thing about it. No, with all seriousness, now it's raising that next level and sharing some of that workload, which has been bloody awesome. I think ultimately, though, if you are listening to this and you do think that you can help us, and there's been a lot of people that have helped us so far, but look, GoFundMe is probably one of the best or easiest ways to do it. You can get a receipt. Can you get a charitable receipt through GoFundMe? Yeah, so you can get a charitable receipt, and it's even if I've put it in a couple of social media posts, even if it's just $5, $10, it all adds up. You'd be surprised how much it actually adds up, and it really does help us to get us to our next level, just with those ongoing operational costs of, say, licensing for emails and phones and all sorts of stuff. So. Mate, season 2. What do you want to get out of it? What, if I had to put you on the spot, which I am, what do you want to achieve in season 2?
Look, I think it's just going to that next level. And as I said, last year was a bit of a hobby. This year needs to step up a little bit. And, we've got some grand visions this year. I think the only trouble for us is that we do both work full time, and it's just being able to commit to that how we want to.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can, we'll start looking at grants and some funding, and hopefully we can put on some resources this year to help us. We really need to do that. And I hope that's probably one of the indicators of how successful we are in this. And with the podcast, making sure that we release them regularly and consistently. And I've got no doubt that the content will be there, because last year it was there. We just couldn't keep up with it. And then, there's plenty in the news, and just staying relevant to the news. And hopefully we reach out to people and they listen, and, we keep them safe.
Yeah, and look, we're both family men. We've got 2 kids as well. That juggling 2 kids and full-time job and partners and wives and all that sort of stuff. It is a challenge, and yeah, we thought we had it all planned out at the back end of last year. We came up with a whole bunch of series of plans where we want to do this and where we want to do that, but things have sort of gone a little bit, I guess, pear-shaped in terms of things that have happened in our private lives that has sort of shaken things up a little bit, but we're sort of getting back to that consistency now. Next couple of weeks we'll be back firing. We've got some cool guests that we've spoken about that we want to get on board, some really cool ones, and I'm really looking forward to elevating that experience as well. We've talked about settings, for some podcasts, where we're going to do it, how we're going to do it, should we get a professional studio, all this stuff that goes into it, which is really exciting and really cool. Not to mention the segments we're going to have for this year. So we want to, and jump in at any stage here, but we want to create, a podcast that, it's going to be like a roller coaster journey, and we want to be able to bring laughter and happiness and joy into it. And the best way that we feel we can do that is by doing an intro into the podcast, and me and Topher having a chat for the first, say, 15, 20 minutes before we lead into our guests. And those conversations will be a list of segments that we have written down here. They're right in front of me, some cool ones. And we want to make sure that we do them every week, and it's, it won't be connected, but it will be like a story for every podcast we do, the same sort of segment. So we're sort of doing some changes to the format. We have 2 sponsors that have come on board for this year, and we've just done a bit of recording tonight, which is pretty cool. We've done our own ads, and we've done it all in house, and the production quality versus what you see on one of the the professional podcasts. Yeah, you could probably, there's an argument there that it's not on par, but it's still fun and it's still cool, and you're still learning. 18 months ago, Topher, like, I wouldn't have known how to edit any footage, right? We caught up 2 hours ago. We did the recordings, and we've managed to produce 2 ads that are suitable for the podcast. I mean, it's been really, really cool. So, for me, I'm really looking forward to a clear, consistent podcast series that we're launching every 2 weeks. And I don't want to give too much away, but we've already recorded one, and we were thinking it'd be 40 minutes. It went for an hour and 30 minutes, I think, all up. And
we haven't even added our bit to that yet.
No, we haven't even added our bit to that. And as I say to the guys when we're doing recordings, there's not much to cut. Like, the information that we spoke about, and I'm not going to give anything away because it will follow into episode 1 or however we're going to do it. We've got a few ideas. But the content was really, really good. And I think, I think this podcast that we did, well, that we're still in production with, it's going to help a lot of, again, I'm not going to give too much away, but it's going to help people that might be experiencing this setting in their life for the first time.
Well, it's just acknowledging the challenges we face in every day, right?
Yeah.
It's not the really heavy stuff. It's just the everyday, what challenges you stuff. And that's what it's good to talk about. It's reality.
Yeah. Bit of banter. We'll cover Roosters Souths. Obviously, this one over here goes to the Bunnies. They had a good win in Vegas last weekend. Obviously, the Chooks got up. But I think we're playing round 3, I think it is, a couple of weeks away. So, look, we want to bring a bit of laughter. We want to bring a bit of fun into it. This year, I think you'd agree with me here, we want more interaction from people listening. So we're going to a few lengths to try and get the users to come in. Sorry, not the users, the listeners to come in and engage with us on the podcast. And one of the cool things, I've got this bit of hardware here that I'll sort of show up. Still trying to work it out, but this bit of hardware, we can have live callers come in onto the podcast, and we can record live sort of conversations and all sorts of stuff. So there's some really cool stuff we're playing around with and toying around with for 2024.
Yep.
Want to sort of touch on something that's happening that it hasn't been publicised, or we haven't released any information on it publicly because it is an invite only opportunity. But Topher and I, with the help of Lorna and Shawnee, have a trip coming up. It's a camping trip. It's really designed for people that have been with us for the last 12 months on this journey, that we feel that they can contribute to Beyond the Banter in the future. And we're going away for a couple of days. We're going up to Coffs Harbour, which is going to be really cool, get some fishing done. And Rusty, who does the intro to Beyond the Banter, he's working on a new intro for us for season 2. He'll be there with his guitar and his ukulele, so he'll be pumping out some tunes. But we're going away for a couple of days, and we're going to ask the people that are coming with us to give us some help, in their vision on what they think we should do with this in the next 12 months as well. So we want to try and get as much information from people listening to, contribute to what we're actually doing here to help us in the future to deliver.
Might be a podcast coming out after that.
Yeah,
I've done cut some footage together, or not sure.
Yeah. There might be an after hours
Catching a fish.
I think last time we were fishing, I caught the fish. You didn't catch a fish, right?
Yeah, well, maybe. Don't admit things on camera.
I've actually got it on my camera. I filmed it, remember? Anyway, look, we're looking forward to it. And if you're listening and you are one of those people that have been selected to come, we really, really excited about it. We, this is Topher's idea. This camping trip's Topher's idea. I just sort of turned the heat up a little bit to get it done sooner rather than later. But, it's a really good idea to get a whole bunch of males away together, have a chat, try and connect. And it's not to say we're all going to sit around and, talk about our mental health issues at all, but it's going to be an area for everyone to be able to, if they want to engage and get some advice from other men, then this would be the perfect setting. So, we've got a whole bunch of thoughts and ideas for this year in terms of rolling stuff out and potentially another camping trip at the end of the year where the people we've selected have to bring mates. That's part of the criteria for the next one. So it just grows and grows and grows.
Yep.
I've waffled on for way too long. Is there anything you want to chuck in there, Topher, for season?
No, I think you covered it, and I was going to allude to that as well, that it is something that it's a bit of a soft trial, this camping trip, to see what we can do. And then the hope, I guess, is that we will make it an annual event.
I don't know about the whole Bear Grylls idea where you wanted everyone to come completely nude and have to survive in the bush for 48 hours.
Walking on fires.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not too sure on that idea. So, people coming on that trip, please bring clothes. Even if Topher sends you email saying don't bring clothes, bring clothes, please. Look, no, like again, talking to the wider community beyond the banter, there's a couple of other ways that you can support us if you can't financially, which is totally cool, which is totally fine. We get it. It is tough out there, but what you could do to help us is obviously subscribe to all of our social media platforms. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. The podcasts are played on all the major platforms. Spotify is probably the biggest one though. So if you can go in and give us a rating and a comment on the podcast, that would really help us. It does really actually. The more traction you get on Spotify, the wider it goes to. The wider it goes to the community. So any likes, any subscriptions, any 5-star ratings, anything like that would be really helping us out. It's going to be a big focus for this year. So we're really looking forward to seeing how big we can sort of get this thing for this year.
And just spread the message. Just share us out. We stand by the fact that we're not trying to compete with other organisations. There's some fantastic ones out there. We're just another voice. And we might just connect with one person that the other organisations didn't. And that's what we're aiming to do.
Good point. Because if anything, the more people talking about this stuff is for the better. It's not about us versus them or them versus us or anything like that. It is a collaboration, and it's one of the big things that we want to keep as one of our core values going forward. So, all right, mate. Well, I think we've waffled on for way too much, way too long. This is just to touch base with everyone, let you know that the podcasts are going to now start rolling out, and
we're back.
We're back. Yeah, we're back for this year, and we. Speaking for myself, I'm so excited, and you know what it is. It's hard work to get it to where it is right now. I feel that we've
a lot more there that we realised. I think.
I think so. Yeah.
And when we put together that constitution, what is it, 26 pages or something?
Oh, 29. 29. It's pretty cool though. I came home the other day I think I was at work or whatever, and the kids were watching YouTube, and for some reason they went onto the Beyond the Banter YouTube page, and they played it, and they're like, "Oh, there's Daddy, there's Daddy." It was really cool. It was one of those cool moments. So, all right, mate. Well, look, I think we've waffled on for way too long. So, look, I'll just finish by saying thank you again for season 1 for the support from everyone. We can't do it without your support. We need people to go harder this year in season 2 and double down. We've got some really cool stories, and we've got some really cool guests that we've got lined up, and we need your support. So any of that stuff that I spoke about before, commenting on people's podcasts or posts or anything like that on social media really helps us. So, mate, I'll throw it over to you for final words. But from my point of view, I just can't wait to rip in. So,
yeah, no, I'm the same. I can't wait for 2024 and the guest list that we're building. It's some really exciting stuff that we're still working on and still cementing the dates and times. But if we can get it all to happen the way we see, I think it's going to be really cool. And then just a thank you to everyone that listened last year, and let's bring on this year.
Awesome. Yep, sounds really good. All right, guys, we will be back shortly, hopefully in a week's time, and we'll release the first series of our podcast for 2024. But in the meantime, www.beyondthebanter.org. Reach out to us, send us a message, even if it's to say, well done on last year. We'd really appreciate it. And then in the meantime, take care. And if you do need any help or you do need any support, make sure you reach out to those health professionals to get you on the right track. And look, everyone stay safe, and we really look forward to 2024. So thank you guys, really appreciate it, and we'll catch up with you on the next episode.
Yep.